News at 11 starts with breaking news.
Now at 11, downtown LA streets are quiet on this third night of the curfew. Few protesters, but a large police presence. Tonight, the attention is focused on the battle between California's governor and the president over federalizing the National Guard. Good evening, everyone. I'm Carolyn Johnson.
And I'm Kathy Vara. Win for Governor Newsom earlier tonight, shifting this evening. NBC4's Macy Jenkins live in our newsroom with all of today's developments. Macy.
Well, Kathy and Carolyn, earlier this week, Governor Newsom sued the Trump administration for what they called an illegal takeover of the National Guard. Now, a judge sided with Newsom today, but just hours later, an appellate court issued an administrative stay, saying it will take up the case on Tuesday to decide who constitutionally has the right to command the National Guard in this instance. Los Angeles at the center of a legal battle between the Trump administration and California Governor Gavin Newsom. Thursday afternoon, federal judge Charles Breyer ruled President Trump unlawfully took control of the California National Guard over the weekend. Newsom praising the decision, saying the judge made it clear Trump is bound by the Constitution.
Today is a big day for the Constitution of the United States, for our democracy, and I hope it's the beginning of a new day in this country where we push back against overreach. He is not a monarch, he is not a king, and he should stop acting like one.
In his 36-page ruling, Breyer claimed Trump exceeded the scope of his statutory authority by failing to issue the order through the consent or request of the governor. He also said that the protests in Los Angeles fell far short of a rebellion against the government, which would allow a president to take control of a state's troops.
He essentially concluded that this was an overreach by President Trump and that he was infringing on states' rights, states' autonomy.
Moments after Breyer's ruling was issued, the Trump administration filed an appeal, and just hours later, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals granted a stay, allowing Trump to retain control of the California National Guard in Los Angeles until at least the next hearing set for next Tuesday. I spoke with Loyola Law School professor Jessica Levinson to discuss next steps.
I think we can assume that they're going to hear arguments from both sides, and then it could take them a moment, a day, a few days, but it's possible that this will then stretch into the next week before we have a ruling from the Ninth Circuit, at which point there could then be an appeal up to the Supreme Court.
And if it gets to that point, she says,
when it comes to the precedent, I think what we see in a majority of the Supreme Court is that they're embracing a pretty broad view of executive authority. And my suspicion is that they will hear as well.
Now, in his remarks earlier this evening, Newsom said he planned to redeploy the men and women of the National Guard once he regained command on Friday to areas where they are needed, including counter-drug enforcement and vegetation and forest management. And as we look live from a quiet night in downtown Los Angeles, for now, the National Guard will continue to follow orders from the Trump administration. We'll have much more as this story continues to develop tomorrow morning on Today in LA starting at 4 a.m. Reporting live in the newsroom, Macy Jenkins, NBC4 News.